Nā mai ki te hui, a Wellington Regional Waste Management and Minimisation Plan, e tēnei rā. I'm just going to stand now for the karakia. Feel free to join in. Whakatakite hou ki te tonga. Whakatakite hou ki te uru. Whakatakite hou ki te tonga. Kia mā kina kina ki uta. Kia mā taratara ke tai. E hi aki ana te atakura. He tio, he huka, he hauhu, ti hei mauri ora. Everyone for that. So, we're going to have a very short meeting today, I imagine. Maybe morning tea at 10:15, but we'll just see how we go. And we might just get started on our workshop. Now, we have one apology from Councillor Duffy, but that's all we've got at the moment. Right, thank you very much. Right, well, I will move those. Is there a seconder? Councillor Mitchell, thank you very much. So now, if you can just raise your hand if you accept those. Oh, sorry, because we don't have buttons today. That's all. Yep. Okay. Right, so I declare that carried. Ko mana. Any conflict of interest declarations? Right, great. And I also just move the motion that we accept the minutes from the 5th of December. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Mitchell, thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Okay, great. So it's cool mana. That's carried. So there are no items not on the agenda. There is no public participation. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome the officers to introduce the paper. Obviously, we've all read it, and then we will take questions. Kia ora.
Kia ora, councillors. This paper provides an update to the Wellington Region Waste Management and Minimisation Plan Joint Committee on an update on the waste assessment and the development of the Wellington Region Waste Management and Minimisation Plan 2023 to 2029. It also provides an update on the key regional and local level work completed to implement the current waste management and minimisation plan. I'll take the report as read, and we've got other officers here who would happily answer any questions that I can't answer. So, yeah, just happy to take any questions.
Fantastic, thank you. Right, do people have questions? Councillor Mitchell.
Yeah, I just had one in paragraph 30. It talks about the stakeholder engagement workshops, which is scheduled for this month, for March. I just wondered if, for the benefit of members, and particularly new members, you could summarise who the stakeholders are that will be engaged in that process.
Kia ora. Thank you, Councillor, for the question. My name is Diljinder Uppal. I'm the Zero Waste Strategy Manager for Wellington City Council. These stakeholder engagement workshops are with industry and mana whenua for the development of the WMMP. There's been a bit of a delay with regards to the engagement with mana whenua, partly because of availability. In the workshop, we will get into the detail of these engagement workshops and what they entail, but basically industry and mana whenua. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? So can I just follow on from that? You said industry and mana whenua. What about community groups?
Yes, community groups as well.
Okay. Okay, that is good. Now, I just wanted to make a point. It says somewhere in the report that we were trying to run an efficient waste management system. Now, that's true, but actually our overall goal was to go waste-free. That is understood by officers that, you know, there is a bigger vision here than just running the current waste systems.
Not mutually exclusive, those two things, Councillor. We need to get efficient in the management of our waste. The efficiency is going to lead us to diversion. That's how I think we see that.
Okay, okay. And the national licensing system, how likely is that, do you think? What are you hearing from officials?
The work on that has been progressing. However, MFE is doing a big national data framework. We would like to tie into that process. Wellington City Council has developed a light version of a licensing framework and gotten in touch with the stakeholders in the industry. But largely, we would like to wait and see what MFE comes up with to tie into that process.
And will that be before the election?
I'm not sure about that. Stefan, do you know the answer to that?
It's very unlikely that the national waste data framework will be in place this year. In fact, in conversations we've had with the ministry, it's looking at minimum 2 years. So WCC has already issued some licenses to waste facility operators and waste collectors who operate within the Wellington City area. And then that's part of our phase 1, is to get those organisations on board and issued with licenses and in compliance with our bylaw. The next stage will be to engage with those organisations about what the future will look like for a licensing regime. So what kind of data we would like from them, so forth. And that will commence from this month, actually.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hayward?
Thank you, Whahia. Point 12, regarding the stipulations from the Ministry for the Environment in requiring all the councils to commence or formally commence the review of the our regional plan, seem to be quite an onerous requirement. I assume that while we are through the current stipulations, can we get certainty that we're not going to be caught into another trap with the ministry regards to other stipulations or other requirements that force us to have to quickly make decisions council by council?
Good morning, Chair and councillors. We have discussed this at length with the ministry, and we have tried to get some sort of information from them in writing as to whether we are going to be faced with any other requirements from them. At the moment, it appears that they are satisfied with our decision to review the WMP, and they're not overly worried about adoption, which does seem surprising, but that's where they've arrived at. And just to go back to your earlier point about the wider vision for the WMP, efficient and effective is actually a statutory requirement that we have to do.
We were just trying to go beyond that.
Yep.
Councillor Hayward, have you got any other questions?
No more subs.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Swales?
I'd like to go to paragraph 5, and the reason being is that when are we going to expect to get that feedback, and is it going to go to elected people or just officers?
Thank you, Councillor. The draft Wellington Region Waste Assessment, we will be sharing that report with you soon, and that feedback will be shared with you. Yeah, and I'll go through those timelines in the workshop later on.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Just got two more, and maybe Councillor Mitchell will be able to help me. The resource consent from Waste Management New Zealand, how broad is that in terms of its scope?
Are you able to speak to that, Ewan?
Sorry.
For the resource recovery park in Manor Park, what the scope of that consent application is?
We've only just received it, so I think it was received about 3 weeks ago, and a briefing has just been sent out to our councillors and those in Upper Hutt. I'm happy to have that shared with any other interested party, including this council, this committee, if you.
Oh, that would be incredibly helpful.
Yep.
Thank you, because it's a good step forward. And then there was something that looked like it was kind of about apartments in the Wellington City update. So we are continuing to look at how we deliver to apartments, and then this is relevant to other parts of the region too, where we are seeing more apartment development.
With regards to multi-unit developments and apartments, they are a critical part of our target for curbside collections and organics. We are developing a business case on redesigning how to provide those levels of service. So yes, they do keep us awake at night. It is something that we need to provide a solution to.
Yeah, and particularly for other parts of the region, we know what we've got is two levels of collection, and it's not really fair. You know, it shouldn't matter what kind of dwelling you live in. Okay. Any other questions? Councillor Swales.
Just to carry on from the question that you had, with regard to in an apartment living, particularly above main streets or, suburbs, and you've got residents above shops, are you also factoring that in? Because, those people put their rubbish out at the beginning of the day, and then it becomes a pedestrian space for shoppers, and it's out there and they become missiles. So hopefully you're looking at something like that too, to mitigate.
Yes, absolutely. It's part of the mix of options that we're looking at.
And maybe just to add to that, it also includes businesses, so commercial waste at the same time. So the full package of carrying out collections throughout the Wellington City area. So it includes multi-unit developments, businesses, residents, suburban areas, everything.
Okay. Thanks.
So is it actually about collecting the waste from the road frontage, or are provisions being made to collect it around the back, which is not used so much for pedestrians and cars, like they do over at,
Yeah, that's all part of the review. At the end of the day, we want to collect the waste, we want to collect the recycling as much as possible, but also there's the visual aspect of that waste for businesses and for residents. So it's all been taken into consideration.
Thank you.
Yep. We are looking really carefully at working with developers to look at how they're designing the multi-unit developments, making sure they do have space on site to hold all of the bins and recycling collection areas, but it's also working with the collection companies. In some cases, we're having to go, in Porua particularly, we're having to go to smaller trucks to actually service these areas, which is it's a significant cost faced by councillors as well.
Any other questions? All right. Okay. Well, then that just really leaves me to move the recommendations. I'd just like to start with thanking the officers for the work that they've done. It's much appreciated, and certainly working collaboratively is a good thing. Obviously, though, we have a way to go. So I was just thinking that last time I was working on this was in 2016, 7 years later. There's still that shift to make to achieve the overall goal of becoming waste-free. But nevertheless, I'm very encouraged. We've got a great officer team to do a lot of the operational work. We've got councillors passionate about this area. So I hope through this workshop particularly we'll be able to make some really good progress towards getting a great new plan. Is there anyone that would like to second? Councillor Swales, would you like to speak?
No, thank you.
Would anyone like to speak? Right, well, there's no need for a right of reply then. So if we can just now put the motion, all those in favour, if you can say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Right, Kumana, that is passed, which means we have finished this meeting in a very short amount of time, which is the right kind of meeting. So there you go. Tēnā kua mutu te hui. I declare the meeting closed, and I will stand for the karakia, and feel free to join in again. Una hea, ki te uru tapi nui. Kia wātea, kia mama, te nākau, te tinana, te wairua. E te ara takutu. Koia rā e rongo. Whakaerea aki ke runga. Kia wātea, ai rā kua wātea. Kia ora, everyone.